one of the things that was really magical about Project Cold Days, and I think the reason why it turned out so well, is I really trusted that the universe was going to bring the right people and the right moments to me. So really what made the film was just dedication, just getting out on the street every day after work, before work, with my camera and seeing what would come to me. And so many times these magical, beautiful moments of like snow and wind and someone on the street coming to say hello and these beautiful scenes. And I started to really sense the magic that is Ottawa. I know it's hard to see sometimes, especially from an artistic point of view, but Ottawa can be a tremendously beautiful place. In the contrast between the gritty areas where a lot of homeless folks are and like the beautiful nature element of the city as well. So to me, it was that commitment of just going out every day, no matter what, and seeing what would come. And eventually, on the 4th year of filming, I met some people who had incredible stories. And as I learned more and more about these people, I'd spend more and more time, into the point where I'd actually basically living with them on the street. And so one of the parts of the film that I think is really, really genuine is the fact that there is no disconnection between the relationship I had with them. You don't feel like a camera is there. They're not talking to the camera. They're really talking to me and having a real, genuine connection. So there was a huge amount of footage, as you can imagine. I think it was over 100 hours of footage. And the biggest challenge was cutting it down. But I really made the decision that the film had to be about narrative first. So while I had a lot of pretty gorgeous, beautiful cinematic shots, I had to narrow down a very strong narrative that someone could follow from start to finish. And I ended up creating a circular structure narrative, which to me is one of my favorite styles. So I really felt like I probably could have made 10 movies, but I wanted to make one really great, powerful one. An interesting dynamic is that I have obsessive compulsive disorder. It's been one of the challenges in my life. It's been certainly difficult, but when you put all these high-tech professional equipment with tons of buttons and knobs and all these exposure things and, give me a drone and all these things, my brain just dives right into it and loves it, and I obsess about every little button and setting. So that unlocked a part of a mental health issue that was actually hugely beneficial. And now I'm quite thankful that I have this disorder, because for a director, I don't miss anything. There is just no one issue that can really explain why people are on the street. Each person is unique. And to me, it was really actually quite a joy to meet each unique individual and hear their unique story. That's one of the things that Project Cold Days is about. It's really about giving a voice to those on the street. And in many cases, they've felt like they've never had a voice. They feel like they're not very important in society. They feel snubbed and ignored. And a lot of them are very painfully lonely. And that's a very difficult thing, right? You see someone on the street. I certainly feel lonely a lot of the time, and I think a lot of people know what loneliness feels like. But I saw some very, truly alone people who really have no friends, no family. They have no one. A lot of people ask, should I be giving money to the homeless? Are they going to spend it on drugs? And what are they going to do with it? And how can I help? And I say, well, don't worry about giving them money and don't worry about what they would even do with it. But what you can do is give them just a little bit of your time and a little bit of your empathy, and maybe just a smile and a hello and just a little bit of dignity goes a long way. Certainly, funding is a big challenge. And this is why I think most filmmakers never really get to the end, because there are a million steps to take, just administrative stuff, documents, forms, post-production, music, all these things add up. And that's why it took me 4 years. But ultimately, I would never go back and change the decision I made, because it was worth it. Even though, I learned that I'm very difficult to work with. I definitely had a lot of people involved in the film, but I had this drive that was so strong that I definitely plowed through a lot of relationships, and coming to terms with, being nice and getting things done is this really difficult balance. And I really struggled with that. At the same time, I realized that I was a person who was deeply empathetic and genuinely cared about people. If I saw someone going through a hard time, it was just natural for me to connect with them. And I think that's what really made the film quite special, is that it is a film about genuine connections, that the people that you're seeing on the film, I actually really did care about them and their story. And that is something that I was happy to say that I did with Project Cold Days. Yes, this was probably the greatest gift the universe could have given me. I learned so much. I grew so much. Even though it was painful most of the way, I can't say it was always a pleasurable experience. It was cold and definitely a struggle. But in the end, that feeling of fulfillment to finish a film is really special. To say that you finished a feature film is, I think, something that any filmmaker can really be proud of.